Hello and welcome to this video where we'll talk about Kingsmarch and should you just forget about it. Now, there are two trains of thoughts here. Kingsmarch, obviously, is where you can upgrade your farms, mines, smelters, the disenchanter and shipping, recombinator, mapping, all that. And it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of time, and it also takes you away from the main game. Now, why you should do it or why you shouldn't do it. Why you shouldn't is, one, it takes a lot of resources. It takes pretty much, once you get to a certain point, it takes you pretty much playing every day and getting between 100, 200k a day, sort of, to do a lot of the later stuff. If you can do 100, 200k a day, you probably don't have to play every day, but providing that none of your people get kidnapped, murdered, or killed while mapping. Otherwise, you will have to come back, play every day, because the cost of keeping the people are quite high. And obviously running the farms and everything costs a lot end game. Now, why you should run it is the shipping. Especially early on, you can get currency, tattoos, runes if you want to use the rune crafting table. Or you could get lucky and get a power rune. And more than likely those are in the reset or any other time will be worth it because they are rarer. Unlikely to do it, so if you're after a power rune just to do that, I wouldn't bother doing it. But early through the campaign, once you build the shipping and everything, you can get early gear, early currency for crafting. So it does help you progress if you do the shipping, which means you require the mining and getting the individual ore spots throughout the campaign, and as well as the farming and some smelting, because the bars are worth 5 times the raw ore. And then that is one reason why you would do it. Now if we have a look, early gear and crafting, like I said, the recombinator is another aspect to which you could do. The recombinator requires dust and gold. The dust you get from the disenchanter. Disenchanter is very slow, and leveling that up to max will allow you to do the uniques. So once you start getting a bunch of useless uniques, you can drop it in, get a bunch of dust, and recombinate. That can either create money if you're playing on trade and you know how to do it, or you can create some higher level gear. So that's another reason. And then obviously the mappers, getting a T16 and a T17 level. Once you get to a certain point, you can run Delirious, low level Delirious. You can run Eater Exarch, Influenced, T17s obviously, and get some of the Uber fragments. The Uber fragments, there's only a handful that are actually worth. Some of them aren't even worth your time picking them up if you farm them manually. Cirrus, if I haven't looked at it recently, but if Cirrus fragment, Uber fragment is still what it's worth, it's almost not worth picking that guy's fragment up unless you're going to run it yourself. So do be aware that not all Uber fragments are actually worth, and not all drops that the T16, T17 maps drop are worth as well. The main point of running the camp or town is also to self-empower or trade. So whether you are in a trade league, then how are you going to get items to trade if you use this farm and build it up to that point, no further? or if you don't play trade, you play SSF, or you play hardcore or whatever else that doesn't have a standard trade league. What are you going to get out of it, and is it worth your time? More than likely, if you're not in a trade league, after the campaign, or slightly maybe end of white maps, unless you want to build up all the way to the mappers, I wouldn't bother. Personally, that's obviously just my opinion, but I wouldn't bother. You can if you enjoy it, because it's up to you, it's your game, enjoy the game. But I personally wouldn't go any further than white maps, and pretty much if you do it, just run it once you reach certain item levels. So obviously the stuff you send out, you will get item level whatever based on the character. So don't expect high tier stuff if you're a low level character, and if you've got multiple characters, send it out with the highest character if you want the better stuff. If you want stuff with a lower character, obviously you need to send it with the lower character. You can get some trash from the higher character that the lower character can use, because that's just how it is. But in general, you only send out the item level that you want. So if you're like level 60 and the item level doesn't drop until 82, obviously you got very, very, very no chance to get a item level 82, 84 once you're actually still in the campaign or just after the campaign and you're like level 60. So do keep aware that your level matters to the town, and the town is actually really expensive once you start building them. The miners and all that I would keep low during the campaign, because once you level them all up, the rarity of the normal stuff gets lowered higher, and the rarity of the later stuff gets lower. But if you haven't got enough of that early stuff, you will then have trouble finding it. So keep it low. Get the surpluses. I would recommend, if you're not sure, just do all the bits of the ores during the campaign. I'd leave it out for the first act. Just get your character going. From Act 2 to the end of campaign, get all the ore stuff. If you're still unsure by the end of campaign, you'll have a stockpile of ores set to go if you choose, and you should have a decent amount of gold for either trading through the Festus, and if you don't play trade, then you got a bunch of gold to run your camp when you want to actually do it. I personally don't recommend running the camp unless you enjoy it, or your sole purpose is to build it up to the highest point to run mappers, and then you can run mappers and earn gold of, they will take 40-50k per hour once you get the mappers going and once they're running. So you need to earn probably double that per hour just in case they die. Obviously you can vary it out as you get your map guys higher, because unless you have maxed out mappers, you'll probably lose 1 or 2 per rotation at least. And then obviously your return won't be all that until you get the higher guys as well. But I personally recommend using it through the campaign. If you're going to use it purely for the Recombinator or the shipping just to get some crafting resources or some early gear going into maps, that would help as well. But let me know what you think about the town and whether you're going to use it on the reset. But personally, and if this goes core in some fashion or manner, I would recommend doing the exact same thing once the thing goes core, if it ever goes core. Obviously it'll be changed around a little and probably won't have the mappers. Probably have the shipping sort of stuff, who knows. But whatever goes core, I'd use it similar way that I suggested. Obviously enjoy the game how you wish. If you wish to max out your town, as do that. The one thing I will say, even if you are going to max out your town, get a surplus of the lower stuff and then only smelt a fifth of what you have down to bars until you upgrade everything further, because once you upgrade the mining too far, you'll then get into a bottleneck of the resources of the lower tiers. But let me know what you think and hit all those buttons, and I'll catch you next time. Hope you enjoy.